Welcome to the channel, Nyx KC. Today we're going to talk about the Anne Heche, Mar Vista, California car crash that just recently happened. Now, I promise not to make too many videos on trending topics, but this one here has some sketchy aspects to it, so that's what we're going to go through, as well as I'm going to show you guys some clips of her speeding down the streets and the crash and just certain things like that. So there's only really 2 points that I'm going to be bringing up. And I guess to start with, I'll just show you guys some clips from different Ring doorbells as well as somebody standing in their front yard. Now the person that's standing in their front yard is outside recording because this is the 3rd time that her car has sped around his block and driven down his street at this amount of speeds. There's only really like 4 incidents. The last incident is a crash that was caught on 2 different doorbell cameras. But the first incident I'm not going to show. It was just a minor crash into an apartment complex's garage. And in that clip, a male is trying to get her out of the car, and she tells him, "No, sir." So she's refusing to get out of the car, but she still sounds coherent at that time. And now for the video clips. So this first clip does not have any sound. It's from a security camera inside of an alleyway. As you can see, she narrowly misses hitting what appears to be a teenager. Just kind of, pay attention to the way the person that she almost hits reacts. And if you see, there's a shadow that goes behind the person. It kind of looks like she almost hit a car, too. Now, this next clip does have sound, so just a sound warning. Now, this is the clip that I was mentioning in the beginning of the guy standing in his front yard, and she has circled the block 3 times already. You can hear her tires screeching in this clip, but not too much. Now, the guy standing in front of his house is only a few blocks away from Preston, which is the street that she was driving on when she actually crashed. These next 2 clips are from different doorbell cameras only a few houses down from each other on Preston. And they are loud, so sound warning. And now for the last clip, which is also the loudest clip, so just warning. Now, I'm no car expert, tire expert, rubber expert, velocity expert, anything. But her tires sounded extremely sketchy to me. So the video of her going around the guy's block, her tires are kind of screeching. It sounds more similar to a car that's speeding. But the last 2 clips sounds like she has her brakes applied all the way, and she is just screeching her brakes. Cars do not sound like that are just speeding. They do if they turn a corner or if they are burning rubber and before they actually go anywhere in the vehicle. Tires don't sound like that just from going fast. She has her brakes applied, and the person in the first clip from the alleyway turns around and looks at the car, but he doesn't or she doesn't throw their arms in the air like, "What the fuck, you almost hit me, blah blah blah." They just look at the car really shocked. Maybe at that time her tires were also screeching a lot. You don't see, it doesn't look like anyway, that her brake lights are on, but we may never know. I think this because of another story that I'll briefly tell you about that supports my theory on this. So, a couple years ago, I believe in Missouri, a woman was driving a Kia SUV on a highway. Her car started to accelerate on its own without her pushing the pedal. This woman tried shutting off her car, putting it in neutral, putting it in reverse, turning off the car, pushing the brakes. Nothing worked. Not only would nothing work, even the emergency brake, but the car kept accelerating. She reached speeds of up to 115 miles per hour. What she did was she called 911 and told them, like, I need help. They ended up, like, helping her and all this stuff. I'll leave the link for the video, not the video of the photo I just showed you, but the video of her whole 911 call, because it's crazy, and this poor woman. But this woman was driving a push-start car. I don't know if Anne Heche's Clubman was a push-start car or not, but I really feel like her car was doing the same exact thing. When taking this possibility into consideration, the video clip of her circling the guy's block 3 times makes more sense. If she was trying to slow down before her car started accelerating too much, she could have been circling to kind of slow down, kind of like how airplanes will when they come to land. They circle to slow down sometimes. And then her car kept accelerating. The first clip where the guy is standing outside, that sound you hear her tires making is the correct speeding sound. It's more of a wind sound going between the tires. The last 2 clips are clearly brakes screeching. So that's the first sketchy thing I wanted to point out, was the fact that her brakes seem to be fully applied in the last 2 clips. Now the second point I want to bring up is her condition after the wreck. Now, when fire and rescue were finally able to rescue her out of the burning car, they had to extract her from the passenger side door. Whether or not this is because of flames on the driver's seat or because she had moved to the passenger seat is up for debate. When they put her on the stretcher, they initially had her wrapped in a white blanket. Her face, her torso, her upper body basically was fully covered in the white blanket, and she was not moving. Directly before they put her in the ambulance, she bursts open the white blanket, sits straight up, and looks like she tries to push through the firefighters and ambulance people. This could be from shock, this could be from her skin burning, this could be from a number of things, but she clearly snapped back to consciousness at that moment, and then they push her into the ambulance. Directly after the news broke, all of the headlines said that yes, she suffered severe burns, but that she was in stable condition. Then within a matter of hours or days, all of a sudden she was in a coma. They were telling us that she went into a coma. What they failed to say was that they put her in a medically induced coma. She did not slip into a coma. They put her in a medically induced coma. And then the headlines changed to her being hospitalized in critical condition. And I believe it was either her agent or her manager that broke the story of her being in the coma. Quickly after the news broke of her being in a coma, her agent and or manager also broke the story that now she all of a sudden was not expected to make it.
The moment the 53-year-old actress was taken away in an ambulance, she was taken to a local hospital. She suffered significant injuries and some serious burns, according to the fire department. The LAPD saying that Heche appeared to be under the influence and was acting erratically. According to witnesses, she may have also been speeding. They saw her in a blue Mini Cooper. They say she first crashed into an apartment building near here, then took off from that location and ended up crashing into this house here on Walgrove.
Actress Anne Heche is seen flailing around on a gurney as firefighters put her into an ambulance after crashing her car into a Mar Vista home.
Confirmed that the actress is now in stable condition, but she is potentially, we can confirm that the actress is now in stable condition, but she is potentially facing a slew of charges.
According to a new statement from her manager, Heche is in critical condition, in a coma, suffering from significant injuries, including burns to her body.
Now, this next clip is from when it was being live broadcast from the helicopter when it initially first happened.
Bobby and Marla, it was amazing what happened out here. LA City Fire Department, I got to give it to them right off the bat. The men and women from this fire department, some of the most amazing. Vehicle into a structure, then that car catches fire. And when we say into a structure, I mean all the way in, almost coming out the other side. This house out here on Walgrove, right at the cross of Brookhaven, at Preston, you can see that T intersection. The best we can figure, that vehicle was on this street and made its way across, not stopping ever, through those hedges, through the front door, or through that front a wall of this home and lodged itself almost in the back. Then it caught fire. LA City Fire Department arriving here very quickly. They had this home with fire and knowing there was a vehicle inside there. Firefighters making an attack on that fire. Other firefighters trying to get into that building to get that driver out of that car. While all this was going on, they couldn't get to that car. They actually had to call in heavy rescue. That's what you see right there. They hooked up cables to that car, pulled it out.
Now, as you heard, the firefighters couldn't initially get to her because of how far into the house that was on fire her car was. So they had to wait and call heavy rescue. I don't know how long that was, but either way, she's inside there and it's burning, okay? So her injuries could be significant enough to kill her. And they're saying that she died from an anoxic brain injury, which is just basically a complete depletion of oxygen to the extremities, to the brain, to everything. But she was conscious, and it just, I don't know, the whole how they said it, and the stories coming out, maybe that's how journalism works, I don't know. But the order in which the headlines came out is odd and adds a lot of confusion. And then, why is her manager and agent the one in the hospital making these decisions for her in a coma and to take her off of life support? Like, is he or she, I don't know what her manager's sex is, but are they really like her medical emergency contact? Like, do they really have that much control over their clients, their actors and actresses? Because that's ridiculous. Like, she was a grown woman. She probably had a husband. I'm not sure. I'm not going to deep dive into this. I just think that these things are weird. And maybe that's how the industry works as well. Like I said, I don't know. But in my honest opinion, the fact that Anne Heche's manager was making these coma and life support decisions for her and was breaking the story just felt like to me that they were literally contemplating on whether or not she was going to be more profitable to them, dead or alive. Because let's face it, everybody knows a dead celebrity makes more money. Especially after the headlines changed to finding an organ donor, or an organ recipient, because, quote unquote, she had always voiced how she wanted to donate her organs. That's like the cherry on top of the cake. That shit's sketchy. At the very least, I'm not saying that this is like an inside job, anything like that. I'm just saying that the manner in which all these mainstream medias go about getting and regurgitating the same information just adds a lot of confusion and is honestly kind of disrespectful to the person, because it just creates all this confusion. And then you have people like speculating on all this shit, and it's kind of right there in our face. But the thing that I do think should have been investigated more is the car situation, her car being one of the cars that kept accelerating despite her not pushing the gas pedal. I kind of feel like that was the situation. Her circling the block, everything, it seems like she was trying to slow down to the point where she couldn't turn anymore because she would flip over, and so she just went straight in to this house. There are no tire marks on the street, like at all. So as you heard in one of the clips, they initially thought she was under the influence of alcohol. And in some of the pictures that were taken from the first incident where she hit the garage door of the apartments, there was some sort of bottle with a red cap on it in her middle console. And of course, headlines were saying that this was an alcohol bottle. When she was telling the man at the same incident, "No, sir," she does not sound incoherent, but she is only saying 2 words, so we can't really judge too much on that. But if this was something that was, planned or something, then that is one of the go-tos for the people that kill other people, is that, their drug addiction, their alcohol addiction, or they committed suicide. They play on these people's mental stability and their mental states. And Anne Heche was known as this sort of wild party girl. The thing about that theory of her being under the influence of alcohol, though, is that her toxicology report came back as negative for alcohol. So, clearly, she was not drinking. Not only that, but this man here, who either owns or works at a wig shop in Venice, which is not far from Mar Vista, like at all. Earlier in the day, at about 11 a.m., she was in his shop shopping for a wig. Yeah, she's a celebrity, so a wig isn't too weird. But when we think about it, a wig is what? It's a disguise. So it's kind of weird that she was getting a wig. But he said that she looked completely sober, was completely fine, was talking completely normal, and seemed really happy. But when someone is a highly functioning addict, it is hard to tell the difference. Not saying that she was an addict, but they're saying that she had fentanyl and cocaine in her system. Now, little did most people know that Anne Heche was actually currently working. She was working on a Lifetime show. I don't know if it was a movie or a show, a series, but it was called The Girl in Room 13. Anne Heche's character was the mother of a girl who had been sex trafficked. Whether or not that has anything to do with her untimely death is up for debate, but I don't think that cocaine and fentanyl makes you do this.
I think I'm responsible for what I receive. So now my intelligence already is activating. I think I'm going to go further with this. When you're going further, then you're in the universe's intelligence and you're with everyone else who wants to go further too. And by going further, we don't go back and create rubble. We do not destroy. We get out of destruction and move into creation.